Hey folks, welcome back to Money and Politics. It is Monday, July the 19th, and guess what else it is? It is my birthday. So a lot of you said happy birthday to me on Twitter today, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Oh, by the way, a lot of you have watched my conversation with my son Thomas that we put up on Saturday. If you haven't, I would recommend it. It's long. It's 50 minutes or so, but I found in watching it, it goes by pretty quick. And I think many people would agree it's a lively discussion. And we look at a number of the things. So anyway, if you haven't looked at that, I would recommend that. If you want to write me and you haven't written down the email already, here it is. And the other thing, of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter, there it is there. Money and almost politics. I didn't make this up. Twitter made it up. Now, a while back, Brian Foote put this on Twitter. And he said, excited to announce that we've signed a Humbl podcast deal with America's #1 audio company, and we'll be recording from new studio and Humbl headquarter offices starting August 21. Now, today, Brian posted this photo after having recorded the first podcast. Brian there in the hot red shoes. That's a way to stand out in the crowd, isn't it? And so that's some of the news that was out today from Humbl. Obviously, the market sold off strongly today, which brings me to a couple of points. We talk about money and politics, and the things that affect the stock are the company, but we don't live and work in a vacuum, obviously. So obviously, we're impacted by COVID. And we continue to be impacted by the fears that these strains of COVID that are out there are going to inhibit our opening the economy up to the extent that we thought we could. Now, I've talked to you a number of times about DIG, the leveraged ETF on oil and gas. I've done very well. Excuse me. I've done very well on that, but today I did sell about half of my DIG, and I did so in part because I've already done well, and so one of the lessons I would say, and the reason I bring it up is, this is where, folks, when you've made money, don't be afraid to take some money off the table and build up your cash. So I was doing some of that today. Sorry, I swallowed something wrong. And don't be afraid to take some money off the table. So that's what I was doing. I also thought that we've had such a gain on DIG, and if we're going to have any of this, these other strains that we might have to, we may not be growing quite as fast. I don't know if we will or won't, but that's the concern. And so I thought I'd go ahead and take some of that money off the table. And the other thing is, while I always keep a cash position, and this is a good reason why, you look at how the markets were down today. The market, the S&P was down about close to 1.6%. The Dow was down. I need to increase this a bit. I'm reading something here and can hardly see it. The Dow was down 725, almost 726 points, 2%. The Nasdaq down 1%. And the S&P, or the Russell 2000, down 1.5. So, as I said, the Dow down 726 points. So, that said, I think when we look at Humbl today, Humbl closed at 95 cents. It actually held its own, and it was down at about 92 cents for a while. But as I said, it's held its own, so that was kind of good news. ZYXI, which I brought up the other day, and I profiled. And that, let me get rid of this for a minute. That was up today. And so when you get a company that is up on earnings, such as on a down day, that's a good thing to consider. Now, let me excuse me. I was just drinking a little milk before. Excuse me for clearing my throat, and that's what's causing me to ZYXI. It's sin X. And so here we go. So it's at $16.54. I think I actually bought some more of this today, and I think this is going to be a fast grower. And so what I was trying to bring to your attention is the lesson that I was selling a slower grower. What I think is going to be a slower grower is in the dig as we go forward. Now, it's always hard to say, and you can't tell the future, right? We know that. We know we can't tell the future, but we have indications. So we may get a slowdown for a short amount of time, but I know that, as I've mentioned in this stock, that Zynex is has added a lot of new salespeople for their applications for pain treatment, and I expect this will be growing at a faster rate than dig will going forward. So I'm still in dig. I'm still in other leveraged oil and gas. So I got myself covered as the economy were to grow, and I think it will. I think those will go up. But I wanted to take some of that money and diversify and put more of it than I already had into Zynex. And so I wanted to bring that up to you as well. Now, one last thing, and I'll close it out because I'm not going to talk real long tonight. I might hopefully have a little bit of a birthday celebration. The other day we had Richard Branson go into space. And tomorrow, as we tape this, on July the 20th, we are going to have Jeff Bezos go into space. I love history, and I'm pointing out something here that we see happening again right before our eyes, which is says mankind will go like forever not having done something. And then when you have one person do something, all of a sudden you have other people doing the exact same thing in relatively short order. So only the people going into space heretofore were, NASA and the Russians and the Chinese. But now we have private entrepreneurs. And we just had, as I said, Richard Branson going. Now we're going to have Jeff Bezos. And who's the third one? I'm forgetting. But, the point is, they're going to be going, Elon Musk, I think, has his own plans. So the reason I bring this up, and let's take World War II. No one flew, or not World War II, but no one flew before the Wright brothers in 1903, and in the history of man. And yet, only 11 years later, we had the war break out in Europe, and we had dogfights, and we had all these biplanes, and the degree of technological change from the Wright brothers just 11 years before, the degree of technical change was massive, just massive. And it continued to grow. And the reason I bring that up is right now that what you and I are investing in with Humbl is we are investing in this trend of digital currency. Now, is there going to be competition, or is Humbl going to have the whole field to itself? And I would tell you that when we look at history, we are going to see that there are going to be competitors, there are people going to be breaking through, and maybe someone will even beat us to the punch on an app where you can be doing some of the things that we're looking Humbl to be doing. Now, if that happens, it's not game over for Humbl. And if Humbl comes out first, it's not to say that Humbl won't have any competition. So I think when we look at Humbl, we have to presume there's going to be competition because there's almost always competition in the history of mankind in almost every venture that we go into. And what I would say is, you don't have to worry about that, but expect it. But I also think that, hopefully Humbl will be going, and the thing is too, some people obviously are going to have a better product. And if we have competition and Humbl has an app and there's competition, it'll make Humbl get better. So that's the other thing I wanted to point out. And I was just reminded by all these space flights suddenly happening within days of one another when it had never happened before. And I'm reminded how many times in human history we see that pattern. And I'm going to predict that we're going to see it happening in the FinTech industry area. So as before I close out, and I've talked, like I said, it's my birthday tonight, and not to make a big deal out of that, but I wanted to thank you all. I was saying to Thomas the other day, we were sitting out on my deck, and I was saying, you think about, when I think of different years and what happened, there's an event that tends to be the thing that sticks with you in terms of defining that year. Whether you graduated from high school or college, or you had your first baby born, or got married, there's things that define you. Me doing the Humbl videos, and you guys joined me halfway through my current year, and now I start a new personal current year. But I want to thank you all for joining, and for all the times you've written to me and said how much you appreciate me doing the videos. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. And I've learned from you guys. Scott down in Atlanta, talking to Allie about how she bought the Clint Eastwood ETF, the first one that Humbl sold. And, what we've heard from Humbl. So I would say Humbl, and me doing the videos, and it's been kind of fun. I left my little fella up there, being called Papa Humbl. It's been fun. I like the moniker. I don't use it in any other way other than just as a nickname we use it, but it's fun. And so basically I'm just saying thanks, folks, for watching. I'm going to look forward to doing more. We're certainly going to be covering Humbl. I look forward, hopefully, to seeing you in Nashville if you're going. And I guess we'll be getting together, and I don't have the name of that bar right in front of me here, but on Friday night. So I guess that's one place where we'll meet. And then, we ought to, I'm sure we can all exchange phone numbers and emails and all as we want. So as we go forward, we can have, it would be fun. We can start maybe a Facebook group where we can have it kind of maybe a closed group. We can kick that around. Anyway, my bottom line right here is just thanks so much for all that you do for me and all the information sharing. Thanks, Rebecca, especially for all the tweeting you have done. Thanks to Brian Foote. Thanks to all the people working hard behind the scenes at Humbl to have made this company what it already is. And while the stock price isn't where we want it to be, I think we'll find that it will be there. It's going to take some time, as I've said all along, but we continue to see the developments just as we see today. Some days larger, some days smaller, but we keep moving forward with Brian now having the podcast going, and that'll help. So with that, folks, I'm going to say good night. I'm going to have some fun tonight. I hope you do as well. And as always, I will look forward to your comments, and I'll look forward to talking to you more over the course of this new year for me. In the meantime, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.